Welcome to our seminar. This is the second for the year. We're going to have at least one seminar per month. So the seminars will be announced. You just watch out, see the bulletin board if they are there. We have a very interesting topic today, and it's quite unusual, quite unique, and quite rare. And really, it's nice that our speaker is able to travel, ground himself to Earth, and even come to the Philippines to give a seminar. He is going to be introduced by our colleague. He is also our chairman of the Seminar Committee of Crop Science. We'll let Dr. Arquiza introduce the speaker.
Magandang hapon sa lahat. It's a pleasure to see everyone. And it's also a pleasure to introduce a special person. So Masbate is a special place. It's a good place to find someone who started as no one. So everybody knows his name, probably the poster, and he is Apollo Arquiza. Now with doctorates, but he's a UPLB alum. Someone who I would say is among the genius, because he finished chemical engineering in 4 years, magna cum laude. And he topped the board, first place. When he was pressured by Sayed to take the board. And I have the privilege of knowing, because I was then the wife, and he only reviewed for a month alone. So, he had a long track of experience being a teacher in chemistry and chemical engineering. And he had the fortune of being admitted at Cornell. By the time that he also had the chance to work first while he joined me when I was taking my PhD in horticulture. So his stay at Cornell then was made very colorful and very beautiful by having the chance to work first. And he was able to move from different places. So you'll be amazed, how did the Chem grad from UPLB and then having a master's degree from UPLB while teaching, he had a master's degree in biochemical engineering, doing more work on solid state fermentation. So he has also expertise in biotech and biochemical engineering. So how did he end up with this new field on advanced life support? So that's the big question. So at Cornell, he did start from the ground after being accepted in a temporary tech job at the Department of Horticulture. Literally starting from the beautiful golf course of Cornell, doing big support to the Natural Products Lab of Dr. Weston, studying different compounds and doing field experiments as well. That gave him the path to get a really good job, actually replacing an Indian postdoc, taking over a big research on biochemical and molecular biology study of apples. So that's why he has a paper publication, which is a post-harvest project on apples. I can't believe that he got the job that he did. So that also paved way for him to enter and to take classes and get A+ as an employee. And so it was not difficult for him to be chosen when he applied at the biological and environmental engineering program, which was a new program at Cornell. Because biological and environmental engineering then was the new program because Cornell scrapped the agriculture engineering department. So he also had a chance to work at the food science group, the food engineering pilot plant. And aside from his colorful research work, which engrossed him too much in research and teaching, because he got the rare chance of having to TA also under 4 professors, which was rare. And his work, coursework is long, but I am proud to say that he's a 4.0, has a 4.08, or it's like an A+ average, taking courses in mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, which were tough. So he's almost perfect. So, and he's a super nerd, but he's a nice person, and I tell you, he likes, aside from Star Trek and maybe the Little Frames, and many of the cartoons like Bart Simpson's, he actually knows a lot of things. And his program includes knowledge on molecular biology and microbiology. So parang ano pa ba yung pwede mong hindi matutunan? Kasi pati taxonomy, yung mga scientific name ng plants, sa kita pa lang niya na-memorize na niya. So kung minsan parang nakakainis na rin. Hindi kaya ng utak nito. But anyway, he coming from a bear cook to a precision cook, no? Now he holds the record of the first low gravity space flight. And it's so nice for him to consider coming back on a 19-intensive short-term balik scientist stint at USC. So he's based in Taguig, no? But for us to justify in giving a lecture, we also visited the food science group and took a look at what they're doing. So he's mainly tasked now in the country as USC's sort of a short-term consultant and also the scientist looking at how to upgrade R&D capabilities, integrating food science and engineering, as well as doing work in indigenous foods, disaster food, food for specialty diet. So yun yung parang nag-evolve. So I'm really happy to see him now. He was recently recognized by SAIAT as a distinguished alumnus, which we appreciate. He was not here when they created the award. So I think you could just read the Knappler's picture about him, but that's sort of what I told you were not written. So I'm proud to present to you Jose Maria Renato Apollo Arquiza.
Saan ay mag-talk ng mic? So first advice, kunin niyo yung asawa niyo na mag-introduce sa inyo. That's the first advice. Okay. So I'm very happy. First of all, I'd like to thank the Crop Science Cluster for inviting me here. I'm also thankful that you took the time to come to my seminar, even though medyo hapon, tapos maninit-init. It's like, but this will be a good, I'm hoping that you may think na itong topic, this is sort of a, literally, no, out of this world na topic. So, it's hard, minsan usually kahit sa US, usually they think na space exploration, why do we bother? Pero there's a lot of reasons, but usually the first reason is that in the long run, Earth is not viable, the long run. I mean, and we could go the way of dinosaurs. Everyone knows what happened to the dinosaurs. But they got extinct because they got hit by a meteor. Or in the long run, the sun will die. That's like 4 billion years from now. So hindi na natin problema yan. But usually that's the thing. And so it's a good thing to look forward. And it's amazing kasi all of us, if you look at the blockbuster movies, it's usually going to space. Parang we want to explore. And it's been a long while before, sabi nila, man has stepped into another planet. The last time was in 1972. Yung Apollo 17, that's the last one. Na may isang tao, not on Earth, I mean on the moon. And they're thinking na, tulad ng picture, the US has plans to go to Mars middle 2030s. Middle 2030s. That's always a moving target. Kasi sabi nila it depends on the budget and it depends on the will of the people. But who knows? Kasi the US is being, parang background lang, the US has, remember, kaya the space race before was against Russia. Pero ngayon, the US is being, sort of pinahabol sila ng China. So they're trying to do more than what China is doing. Kasi China is going to send someone to the moon maybe in the next 10 years. So the US would like to do something more than that. Okay, so that's my topic, food systems for space exploration. So let's talk about food. So what are they going to eat when we go to space? Okay. So first of all, let's talk about the requirements. So it's food, pagkain siya, no? So the typical requirements is that it must provide all the nutrients. Basically, if we go through the NASA checklist, so this is more on the American side. They have 37 items specified, from proteins, energy, all the vitamins, all the macronutrients. So if they design the food for the astronauts, it has to meet all the requirements. It has to be safe, tapos it has to have acceptable taste. The acceptable taste, this is one of the problems before. Remember, maybe not a lot of, most of you maybe were not alive during the Apollo missions. I was named after those missions, the ones that sent the first man on the moon. No? The Apollo pangalan ko, which is interesting. I was thinking my parents, maybe ano sila, no? They saw the future. I will work in space. But it's amazing talaga. I mean, it's a good story. Ang ganda yung kwento. But, so during that time, sabi nila, the first concern was the nutrients. Hindi nila concerned yung lasa. So nakakatuwa nga daw, before, when they're formulating this kind of food for astronauts, yung una nilang reference yung mga vet. Kasi yung sa vet, sila yung sanay mag-formulate ng pagkain, di ba? Para sa hayop. Yung complete nutrients. So, nangyari, yung unang pagkain ng astronauts, parang pellet, yung maliliit na type na pellet. Pag kinakain ng astronauts, hindi masarap. So, usually ang problema daw nila is uneaten food. I mean, there's food na pinapadala sa space, pero hindi kinakain ng astronaut. So, it's a problem too. Kasi sabi nila, if your astronaut goes to the moon, tapos pagdating niya sa buwan, because of poor nutrients and not eating enough, mahina siya, tapos may sakit, sabi nila, it's the most expensive sick day, no? Yung hindi siya pwedeng hindi magtrabaho kasi it took a lot of money to get the people to the moon. So NASA has been working on the taste. You will see later na they have a lot of dishes that they've done. Tapos this is also one thing, the long shelf life. 18 months for the International Space Station. Now if you're going to Mars, the goal is 5 years. I mean, food should stay for 5 years. So it's still, hindi pa siya. They haven't done this yet. So they're working on this. So they're starting now, this 5 years. You'll see why 5 years later. Now, mabilis lang to, I'll just show you some of the requirements. So energy, protein, carbohydrates. So sabi ko nga kanina, ilan yan? That's 37 of them. If you're interested, we can go through this later. No? Pero dadaanan lang natin siya. So usually, this intake is the same for people on Earth. Kasi they don't change much. Okay. Ang pinaka-change lang talaga is the calcium. Kasi there's sometimes, when you're in space, yung tinatawag nila microgravity, if your body doesn't feel gravity, your bones tend to think na overdense sila. No? They're overdense. Kasi walang humihila. So what happens is the calcium in your bones go out. No? Nawawala. In-excrete mo kasi yung, so it happens. So sometimes if you see the astronauts coming back from orbit, maybe 6 months in zero gravity, pagbaba nila, their bones are weak, no? Hindi dense. So usually hindi sila makalakad. But after 6 months, they recover. So the calcium is a bit high, sabi yung dulo, 2,000 milligrams. Okay. So that's one of the things, the calcium. But all the others, it's basically the same as what normal people here on Earth will eat. Now, these are additional constraints. So, medyo nakakatawa siya, no? Kasi in microgravity, all the food should stick to the spoon. Hindi pwede yung, pag kinuha nila sa spoon, kailangan nakadikit, no? So, usually, creamy. Yung mga dishes nila, mga cream. So, mga curry, mga peanut butter, pwede. Tapos ito yung isa pang bawal. There should be no crumbs. Bakit kaya? Yeah, kasi kung nasa microgravity ka, kung mag-crumble yung kagat mo, lilipad. So it's a problem kasi pwedeng sumingit kahit saan yun. No? I mean, wala naman langgam sa space. Pero ang problema nila is yung pag pumasok sa mga machineries. No? Yung machinery. Okay, so yun ang problema. And this is the other one na it may not be very obvious, pero you've seen the rockets on lalaki. Diba? Pero yung cylinder, anong laman nun? It's all fuel. Okay, yung taas lang na capsule usually yung bumabalik. Because the reality is, dahil sa hirap umalis sa gravity, to escape Earth's gravity, the rocket is always 90% fuel. Okay? So kung malaki yung tinatawag nilang payload, malaki rin yung rocket. And mahal yun. Okay, so that's the problem. Mahal. So kita nyo nga yung launch cost. It's $20,000 per kilo. Okay? So this is one thing that you should, which is good if you're working for sa space research. Kasi hindi masyadong problema yung kung gaano kamahal yung equipment mo. Kasi ang mahal talaga yung pagpalipad. So they're forced to make it small. No? Kahit mahal yung miniaturization, pero in the long run, it's a lot more cheaper kasi maliit siya. Okay? So, okay. Now, the food system will depend on two types of missions. Now, there are two types of missions talaga. The one is low Earth orbit missions, and then the long duration missions. So, yung food mo, it depends on which ones you're going ang mission mo. Okay, so we'll discuss that later. By the way, long duration missions tingnan natin. Usually, these are the targets, no? Yung Mars. This is one, it's an asteroid, no? They want to somehow bring, they also want to land an asteroid later. Tapos ito yung very, very long run. We want to go to a star system. Okay? Pero malayo pa yan. It's like interstellar, no? It's the long run. If you want to go to star system. By the way, itong naka-picture dito, if you see this is the nearest star. What's the nearest star? Parang trivia. Alpha Centauri. Alpha Centauri. Madali makita siya. If you look south, yung Southern Cross on the left, andun yung Alpha Centauri. Okay? Nasa constellation Centaurus. Okay. So that's the nearest one. 4.5 light years away. So let's say kung 10% ng speed of light ang kaya natin, how long will it take? 42 years, no? Kung 5% lang, 80 years. So it's going to be multi-generation if ever. No, yung anak na. No? So it really has to have talagang parang humidity na nasa spaceship kung gusto natin. Unless we do space warp, yung warp na, no? Yung warp drive, which is still theoretical yung warp drive, no? Because si Einstein nga, sabi niya, one of the things he found was that the speed of light is sort of absolute. Pero a lot of people have tried to disprove Einstein, pero so far it's been right. So, pero who knows, maybe sooner or later someone will. Maybe we can go to the stars. Okay, so low Earth orbit missions. Yung una is the space shuttle. The space shuttle has already been retired. Na-retire na yan. And I think in 2011. Usually it's only 14 days. So, konti lang. Takes only a short time. Now, the only one that's active is the space station. Now, trivia tayo. Gaano kaya kalayo ang space station from the surface of the Earth? Hula. Ilang kilometers? 16? Ang lapit naman. So the moon is 400,000 kilometers away. Yung one. 400,000 kilometers away, no? So ang space station is only 431. It's like 1/10. So malapit lang compared sa pagpunta sa one is 1/10. Now to put this in perspective, alam niyo yung Tuguegarao? Chinek ko yung, kasi yung Tuguegarao is 41.5 kilometers from Manila. So the space station is not really that far. Kaya lang nga, you have to break the Earth's gravity. Kaya mahirap umakyat. But it's not that far. That's why it's low Earth ang tawag nila, no? Low Earth orbit. It's near. Kaya nga hindi mo makita yung buong bilog ng the whole Earth. You won't see it. Okay, now usually there's 6 crew members on the space station and they get supplies every 2 months. So, they pupunta doon every 2 months to do a resupply. Now about the food, talo pa natin sila, no? The astronauts. Walang refrigerator doon. There's no ref. Okay, so food must be stable at cabin temperature. It's about 20 centigrade. So, parang temperature din sa normal. Okay, kasi kung makita niyo yung picture sa ISS, yung space station, yung mga astronauts naka-shorts tapos naka-t-shirt lang. So So they're good there. So that's one of the challenges. All the food must be stable at cabin temperature. Now, dahil malapit lang sila, tapos you can go there every 2 months, ano sa tingin niyo yung pagkain? Para lang nagka-camping. All the food there is prepackaged. Lahat. Lahat ng pagkain is prepackaged. Now, there are 4 types of prepackaged food available now na develop nila. The first one is thermostabilized. So basically, ano siya, no, ready to eat siya. It's ready to eat. In-sterilize na, tapos ang dami. If you take a look, they have about 65 items. Natignan niyo yung mga example. Parang sarap, no? Barbecue beef, beef fajitas, beef steak, smoked turkey, grilled pork chop, meatloaf, salmon. So, ano lang yan? So, like I tell you, they've sort of solved the problem of acceptability, no? Marami na silang magagaling maggawa ng recipe at mag-stabilize ng food, yung nasa food scientists. So, they have this. So, these are ready to eat. So, basically, what they do is, in the space station, meron silang parang plancha, yung dalawang flat plates. They just put this thing in the middle, tapos iinitin lang. No? So, it's just heat and open and kakainan na. No? Okay, so that's one. So that's thermostabilized or irradiated. The other one is yung mga freeze-dried. Just add water. Okay, that's the other one. So usually these are for vegetables. No? Vegetables. Okay. And to round it up, they have 2 more. You have the beverages, instant yan, no? Instant coffee. Tapos ito yung maganda. They have natural form foods. No? Tinan nito. Parang pita no? Parang pita. So they're just, mga pagkain siya na, as long as they're safe for 18 months, they can be sent up. No? Pwedeng ipadala. Ito nga, M&M's ata ito. No? Okay. So, the astronauts there are fed well sa space station. Kasi, like I said, everything is pre-packaged. And every time they go up there, so pulo ng pagkain yung mga supply. So, kailangan nila ng resupply. These are the... Okay, so may problem din tayo, no? So, these are the 3 problems. One is continuous resupply. Okay, so hindi pwede. Pag tinigil yung resupply sa space station, magugutom yung mga astronauts, no? So, hindi pwede. Now, ito pang isa. Dahil kita nyo, no? Puro nakabalot. Yan, madaming basura. So, there's trash in space. No? May basura sila. Kailangan nila at least, they have to have good packaging kasi it has to stay for 18 months. No? At least. So the packaging is a little thick. Okay, so 15%. So every time na 100 kilograms akyat, 15 kilograms basura. No? So madami din yun. And isa pa limited variety. Now, one thing here, dito na involved ako sa dito sa part na to yung basura. So I was always tell jokingly na I'm a garbage expert, no? Kaya medyo class na garbage. It's space garbage. Space trash. So I'll show some of the resupply ships. Maybe you're aware of this kasi ito hindi masyado sikat to. This is the workhorse na yung Russian kasi siya. So hindi masyado progress siya. Unmanned siya. Parang Soyuz siya na hindi qualified na mag-ano ng tao. It's just ang galing nga when I first saw this, meron silang remote control ng spaceships. No? Unmanned to. It can go from Earth to the space station by remote control. So itong Progress is the Russian Progress. Tapos ito medyo sikat na ngayon because what happened with the US space is that they've stopped, NASA has developed parang kinontrata nila, sinag-contract na nila sa private companies yung pagpunta yung supplies going from Earth to the space station. Kasi ni-retire na nila yung space shuttle. Mahal kasi yung space shuttle. So they're trying to develop, so the SpaceX has been the front runner, yung SpaceX, the Dragon. So ang kagandahan rin niya, it can go back. It can go back. Ocean splashdown siya. Ito, hindi ito makakabalik. Susulog na siya upon re-entry. Wala siyang landing capability. Isa ito rin, yung Cygnus. This also became in the news maybe a couple of months ago kasi yung rocket sumabog. Sumabog yung rocket, no? Sumabog yung rocket ng Cygnus. So, SpaceX yung pinakabida kasi si Elon Musk. Yung feeling nga doon, sabi niya para daw siyang si ba sa Iron Man? Tony Stark, no? Tony Stark from the thing niya, kasi Elon Musk. So those are the 3 resupply ships. So every 2 months, one of them will go up. Pinupuno yan ng pagkain, saka usually the space station kasi is there as an experimental lab. No? Lab siya. They try to see what happens in zero gravity. Okay. So by the way, gusto ko lang linawin, no? I've been using zero gravity and microgravity. Nakakalito siya kasi kuminsan eh. You've seen pictures of astronauts in the space station. They are circling the Earth, di ba? Tapos lumulutang sila. Bakit kaya sila lumulutang? Hindi pwedeng walang gravity. There's gravity there kasi they're orbiting the Earth, di ba? So the gravity still has an effect there. It's more on, it's a little hard to, pag inisip mo parang it makes sense. It's free fall. No, they're freely falling. Kaya lang they're falling, they're moving fast so that pagbaba nila, they're going around the Earth. It's a little, ang parang thought experiment yan. Let's say, this room, we are on top of a mountain. Kanyari lang, no? And this room starts falling. Pag tumalon ka, are going to stay on air or bababa ka. This room is falling down. Tumalon ako, I'm going to float because I'm going to fall down at the same rate. Diba? So parang gano'n. Anyway, if you're so that's why they call it microgravity. Hindi siya talaga zero gravity. Pero sometimes they mix it up. But there's still gravity there. And it's amazing kasi later on I'll show you na experience ko siya. I experienced microgravity. We did some experiments on a plane that does that kind of maneuver in zero gravity thing. Anyway, so this is the trash. I just want to talk about this because this is part of what I did. So maraming trash. So before, compress nila yung trash by foot. So ngayon kung makita niyo siya, no? So may plastic din, compress yung trash. Tapos yan, kinokolekta, and then yun, madami. So sinasakay siya dun sa mga resupply ships. After that, okay, gusto ko lang dagdagan dito. Aside from the food and drink containers, ito pa yung isa na maybe they don't tell you, but sa space station, walang showers. No? The astronauts do not take showers. So you can imagine, pero malinis naman sila because they use wipes. They use wipes. Ang problema lang sa wipes, there's a lot of water there. So pag tinapon nila, sayang yung tubig. Kasi one thing yung significant is if you're going to space, you want a closed environment. No? Yung walang natatapon. So yung tubig nila, ultimo yung urine, it has to be recycled. No? They-recycle nila. So you can drink. By the way, yung urine recycling is already being done here on Earth sa California because they're in a drought. No? Ang problema lang sa urine recycling, there's psychological problem. No? Parang ayaw minom ng tubig na galing sa urine. So sa California, which is scientifically, yung water na recover, it's clean. No? It's potable, it's good, it's not dirty. Kaya lang, yung psychological nga. So ginagawa nila sa California, after recycling yung sewage, ini-inject ulit sa lupa, no? Sa water table, para masama sa tubig. But, so dumudubi ulit. But it's sort of yung psychological. Yun ang problema rin ng astronauts. Astronauts hindi. They are trained na after a long time, okay na. They can drink it. But the one that hindi tinatouch ng NASA is yung solid waste ng tao. No? It is very malaki yung psychological, no? Kahit na even though theoretically it can be recycled, no? Theoretically reconstituted as something na pwedeng kainin, but psychologically it's masyadong it's malaki yung block, so they will never touch it. So what they do mostly for yung luminga ng tao in space is it's actually freeze-dried. They get the water out. Pero freeze-dried siya. So, tapos it's also thrown away. So this is the trash. Okay? So this is what happens with the trash. By the way, tumutubo rin ang microbes sa space. They've seen it. I wonder if this is clear. Pero kita nyo, no? What happened was itong panel sa space station, naglagay daw ng tuwalya, naiwanan yung basang tuwalya dyan. After a while, tumubo yung molds. Okay? Now, the spaceship itself is sterile. Kaya lang, saan galing yung mikrobyo? Sa astronauts itself. You've heard of yung microbiome natin, di ba? We have lots. So, fungi din part usually sa katawan, sa body. So that's one, microbial growth and loss of water. Now, this is sort of just to show you, para mapakita ko yung aking part of my work before. No? I did a space dryer thing. So we did a space dryer. So what we did was, we put trash in here. Okay, tapos it goes around, so it dries the trash by forced air. Yung medyo high-tech din yung thermoelectric condensers. What if you've heard of a thermoelectric refrigerator? Basically, wala siyang refrigerant. What happens is, you just push electricity, lumalamig yung isang side. And we had to do it na this one will get water without gravity. Na wala siyang, it should work without gravity, yung condenser. Kasi, yeah, so this is the hard part. So that's one of the things I did in sa Cornell. So we designed this, we made a prototype. This is a prototype, but this is not the one that's going to fly. The way kasi it works is you make a prototype, you test it, you make a model, and then if it looks good, then you can make something that will fly. Okay, so this is the sort of, very simple lang siya. No? There's the blower, the air goes through a heater, goes through the vessel, goes to the condenser, there's the heat pump, basically that's a refrigerator to recover the heat, and then you have water there. There's the purge. Okay, and then we did some computer modeling. Now, gusto ko lang sabihin, when you're doing work in space, yung tinatawag nilang modeling becomes important. Kasi you cannot do the actual tests here on Earth. Kasi, di ba, usually kung gusto mong i-test yung dryer mo sa actual conditions, you have to run this at microgravity, which you cannot do here on Earth. So ang ginagawa usually, you make a model, a mathematical model. If it works, then you're going to run it without gravity. Papatayin mo yung gravity sa model, which you can do. And then see if it works. So it's a way of, and it's hard. I mean, if you know all of the missions to Mars, which is model talaga siya. They go there by doing, they model the spaceship, they model the landing and everything. Yung success rate ng mission to Mars, anyone has a guess? The success rate? It's about less than half, no? Less than half. So, all the missions to Mars, less than half is successful. Maraming nasisira, nagka-crashland, o nawawala. Because it's far. I mean, malayo yung Mars. Okay, so this is also one thing that we did. Okay, sabihin ko lang din, aside from the drying work, we did some molecular biology work, trying to find out, kasi ang problema sa drying, take a look. Ito yung if you're familiar with drying, this is the moisture content. Pag konti na lang yung moisture content, the drying takes longer. Mas mahirap i-dry. So ang problema nun, you need more energy. Tapos konti na lang naman yung makukuha mong tubig. So what we were trying to find out is, we are drying this para wag tumubo yung mikrobyo. So we tried to find a way to sort of find where, kung anong water activity hindi natutubo yung mikrobyo. So we found out na dito, no, sa 0.843, hindi na tumutubo yung mikrobyo dyan. So you can dry it up to here. So not to dryness. Anyway, it's sort of, it's a nice, it's because it may konting ang molecular biology. Yeah, so that's the short-term missions. So short-term missions, it's always prepackaged. Palaging may baon sila. Psycho astronauts are like, kung short-term, parang mga bata sila, no? Palaging may pabaon. Everything is provided for. Sa long-term, ito yung medyo exciting na. Okay? Long-duration missions. Especially since nasa crop science, no? You'll find out yung kanilang roadmap. Okay, they have yung rocket, it's going to be tested next year, yung rocket na pwede magpadala sa Mars. They're trying to test that. Wala pang tao dyan. So, They want to go to an asteroid later on, tapos they want to go to the moon of Mars. Ayan, Deimos, no? So Deimos. And then Mars. So next is Mars. But they always, ayan, so yun yung kanilang, I like to say, this is a roadmap. Ang problema kasi sa US, the president is only there for at most 8 years, no? And you can see the timeline. So pag nagbago yung administration, I think pwede sa Pilipinas ganun din. Usually pag nagbago yung administration, kung ibang partido, papalitan yung plano. No? Kasi may plano yung meron siyang politics involved, which is sad. Pero yeah, it's the reality. Okay? So for long durations missions, I have here something na, by the way, pakita ko nga lang minsan, no? Ang problema sa long duration missions, it will take a long time. For example, going to Mars is 6 to 8 months in space and at least 18 months on the planet. Bakit? Because the way Mars and Earth align in space, every 2 years yung may window of opportunity. Now, efficient yung pag-travel from Earth to Mars. So, if someone is going to Mars, it's at least 18 months, so that's 24 months, so dagdagan pa ng isa ng pabalik, so that's like 30 months, no? So it's almost 3 years ang travel time. And the problem with that is kung gagamitin mo yung prepared foods, there's only 65 prepared foods currently available. So they're trying to do more, pero if you do that, 16-day menu cycle lang siya. So after 16 days, balik ka na ulit sa ulit-ulit yung kakainin mo, no? And sometimes it's a problem kasi may food fatigue for long duration missions. That's one of yung malaking problema talaga going to Mars that they found out is that yung psychological, no? May physical problem na kasi kung nagsawa na, hindi nakakain, so hindi makukuha lahat ng nutrients kung hindi niya kinakain yung pagkain kasi nagsawa na. Tapos may psychological din. Kung hindi siya masaya sa pagkain, the astronauts may get a bit, no, depressed. Psycho nga. Psycho. It's difficult sa no? That's what they usually play sa movies, di ba? Usually kung merong colony sa Mars, merong isa medyo kakatama, tapos sasabotage yung mission, so papatayin iba. Pero, but they don't want that to happen in real life. So they want to stop that. So, isa nga yun. They want to... So, medyo may problema ang prepackaged food kung malayo na ang pupuntahan. So, anong pwede gawin? So, let me show you this. By the way, sa amin pag when to travel to Mars, like I said, every 26 months, yung alignment kasi, so gusto ko lang makita na it really is hard to get to Mars kasi mag-launch ka, andito yung Mars, ang target mo, andun pa. So, you have to estimate yung natatamaan mo siya. It's like, sabi nga nila, you're trying to hit a moving target. Okay? So, nahihirapan. And this is sort of the most efficient time, yung ganyan. So, they go there. So, that's the most efficient time. So, ang problema nila, if you miss that window, maghintay ulit sila. No? So, that's why I think minimum 5 years yung pagkain. Para pag na-miss yung window, yung stored na pagkain, pwede pa rin kainin. No? And another thing is that 5 years din yung, kasi one of their plans is kung gagamit sila ng prepackaged, they're going to send it ahead. Ipapadala na kagad bago dumating yung mga tao. Okay. Yeah, so this is sort of like, parang in a nutshell, yung thinking ngayon ng NASA. Let's say you want to have rice in a space habitat. Let's say in Mars. Okay? So there are 3 ways you can do that. One is prepackaged. Okay, so magdadala ka ng ready to eat, tapos, yun na, diretso na, no? Tapos the other one is bulk prepackaged. Magdala ka ng lulutuin pa, bigas. Ang additional complication is that kailangan lutuin pa. It has to be cooked. So, kung ito ang gagawin mo na way, you need to do cooking. So, kailangan may dala ka na meat. Kung tayo, kailangan may dala kang kalan, at saka kaldero. Pero sa astronauts, they need to have a way of cooking if they want to do this. Okay, because this is stable. By the way, kung white rice daw na maganda ang pagka-seal, gaano katagal siya mag-stay sa tingin niyo? Post-harvest? I think sabi nila it could take like, pwede mag-stay for 8 years. No? So rice is good. Yeah. Kung white yata, kung brown, hindi mag-punish. Pero that's, in US, that's what they say. I'm not sure. Baka I may be wrong, but that's what they say. So they plan to bring bulk packaged rice. And the last one, this is, kung agri ka, this is an exciting topic, no? But they call us bioregenerative. So you bring the seeds, tapos you need a greenhouse to do the planting, you need harvest, post-harvest, you need to process it, you need to cook it, tapos kanin na. So you can see the trade-offs. Na may problema, so it gets complicated. This is the easiest one. No? Dadalhin lang nila, tapos yun na, pagkain na. This is the second easiest. Magdadala ka ng bulk, lulutuin mo lang. And this is the last one, yung bioregenerative. Okay, which is, you still have to build a greenhouse, you have to bring harvest, post-harvest. So yung mga crop science, di ba? Tinuturo daw ngayon yung sabi mo? Yung post-harvest ba ng rice. So, kailangan meron kang pantanggal ng ipa, tapos pang-dry, and etc. for processing. Now, but bioregenerative has several advantages. So itong mga advantages ng bioregenerative. That's why NASA's been studying it a lot. No? One is, alam natin yung parang Earth, humans and plants, so we get the food, we also get oxygen, and they get our carbon dioxide. So it's recyclable. Tapos one thing na also is yung water. Kasi yung wastewater, pag kinuha ng plants, they transpire it, mag-evaporate sa leaves, malinis na yun. So it can be condensed back. So this is one. And the other one is, you don't need to bring food from Earth. Ang kailangan mo lang ay seeds. You can grow them on Mars. So less launch mass. No? So hindi mo kailangan napakalaki na rocket. And the last one is also another thing. They've been studying that kung may inalagaan daw ng halaman ng astronaut, they become more socially and psychologically happy. Yeah. So no danger. And also, yung pagluluto, sometimes they want to cook, no? So it sort of relaxes them after a long day of work. Okay, so it really is a good system if they can make it work. So they've been studying it hard. So this is one of the systems. Sabi ko nga, prepackaged, you bring bulk, and then the bioregenerative. Okay? So additional factors to consider. So we'll just go this for yung mga plant sciences. Ito, kita nyo, no? So what plants to grow? Kailangan nandun lahat ng necessary nutrients. Tapos it can grow. Hydroponics sila kasi if you go into Mars, wala siyang soil na magagamit. So it has to be hydroponic. And this is one thing, high harvest index. So medyo technical term siya. It means the ratio of yung edible parts sa non-edible part. I mean, total mass. So gusto mo, pag nagtanim ka, halos lahat pwede kainin. No? Okay. Lettuce ang gusto nila yung salads kasi hindi na kailangan lutuin. No? So that's one of the things. And gravity effects. That's one of the things also that they've been studying. Ang ano kasi sa plants, have you ever wondered, no, pag nagtanim ka, alam ng plant kung saan tataas yung shoot, tapos saan bababa yung roots, no? So, plants have what they call in gravitropism. They have it happens because they can sense gravity. No, yung technical siya, it's physiological siya, merong mga parang grains sa loob ng, may sensor sila na yung grains yung bumababa. So alam kung saan yung up and down inside the cell. So that's gravity effect. So not all plants have gravitropism. So try mo hanapin yung hindi masyado naapektuhan ng low gravity. Kasi Mars is only 1/3 of Earth. Tapos radiation. That's one of the things also. If you're going to plant stuff on Mars, yung radiation niya, walang ozone layer kasi. No? So your plants must be also resistant to radiation. Tapos yung light source, yung isa pang problema. So we'll go back to that later. Tapos yung gas composition. in the greenhouse. Kasi pwede mo siyang bago-baguhin. Okay, they're trying to find out kung ano yung pinakamababang oxygen tapos mataas na carbon dioxide. Kasi most of atmosphere in Mars is carbon dioxide. And then the pressure. Yan, ito pa rin. Kasi in space station, the pressure is atmospheric. Pero if they're going to build something in Mars, usually they wanted, ang gusto nilang design is a little lower than atmospheric, maybe 8 psi, sorry, no? Kalahati na atmospheric. Ang logic nila dun is pag nagkabutas, hindi ka agad na lalabas, no? Kasi mas mababa yung pressure. Okay. So they're trying to see if plants can grow in half atmospheric pressure. And they have found it out. Ano na sila? Basically, yeah, so this is just one quickly, no? Photosynthetically active radiation, so ito yung pwedeng gamitin sa photosynthesis. You can see how different it is. No? From Earth, 60 yung far. No? Sa Mars, it's about less than 30, less than half. So ano yung ibig sabihin niya? Yung productivity mas mababa. Sabihin you need more area to get the same amount of food for planting in Mars. Kung mag-rely ka lang sa sunlight on Mars. So they found out na hindi pwede mag-rely sa sunlight on Mars. I mean, they have to do something else. Kasi it's going to take a lot of area. No? So these are some greenhouse concepts. So concepts pa lang siya kasi we haven't really sent. So ito nga sabi ko, there are solar collectors, kukolektahin yung light, and then ibababa sa parang greenhouse. Usually they put it underground. Underground though is better because it can shield radiation. No? Kaya lang kailangan mag-hukay. So may mga trade-off siya. I think you've heard of fiber optics, di ba? Okay, so parang ganun yung design nila. So collect light here, goes down there, tapos it's going to let the plants grow. And another one naman is, pwede rin sa labas, kaya lang meron din ilaw yan. So may electricity na ginagamit dyan. No? Ito. Okay. So may light from the outside, pero meron niyang ilaw din. Okay. So let me just show some actual experiments. No? So yung actual experiments nila. So they have yung systems na ginagrow nila. Ito, this is wheat. Okay, this is sort of yung salad crops. No? They've been using LEDs. Kasi LED is cost efficient ang LED. No? They've been using LEDs. And this is also one, yung modular nila. No? So they can put it inside. You can bring it anywhere. So they try that. Tapos itong isa, the same setup pero they changed the wavelength of light. They found out na usually blue and red combined na LED is better for some plants. So they try to optimize. Kung ang plants mo is lettuce, let's say merong optimum wavelength of light na magagamit for that. So these are actual experiments. Tapos, even though may disadvantages din siya. So what are the disadvantages? Number one, food scarcity. Paano mangyayari yan? Magkaroon ka ng crop failure, patay, no? Patay na. So they were going to, magugutom sila doon. So tagutom sa Mars. There's crop failure. So that's one of the problems. Kung meron kang bioregenerative, yun yung parang problem nila, ano ba? Should we risk everything? O may backup pa? Pero kung may backup ka na packed food, sayang naman yung parang na-defeat yung purpose na nagtanim ka pa. No? So that's one of the things that they have. Aside from crop failure, pwede rin yung pathogens. So they actually don't know. Kasi when you go from Earth to Mars, yung mga mikrobyo na dala-dala ng astronaut, they could change due to radiation, di ba? So baka pagdating doon, they become pathogenic to the plants. Tapos kung mamatay yung plants, it's bad too. Kaso nga, large mass. Kasi sabi ko nga, kung magtatanim ka, you need a greenhouse, you need equipment to process it, harvesting, tapos panglinis, pangluto. So, it's sort of large mass. Madami ding mass na kasama. Actually, we tried to calculate how much mass yung kailangan mo if you're going to plant something on Mars. It's a lot really. Usually, papakita ko kanila, yung trade-off nila, bioregenerative only becomes cost-effective for about 10 years. Kung 10 years ka mag-stay sa Mars, it's worthwhile to do planting there, no? Yung bioregenerative. Kasi, kumpara mo yung 10 years na supply ng food na dadalhin mo from Earth, ma-outweigh na yung mass ng equipment mo. So it's a very, very long term. Kasi ito pang isa, crew time for work and training. Kasi yung astronaut mo daw, kailangan turuan pa magtanim, no? Mag-post-harvest, turuan magluto. Which is usually problema nyo din because what they want really to do for astronauts to do is to do science. Nag-iba na kasi yung pananaw nila sa spacecraft. Before, parang ano yan, no? First one to plant the flag. Pero ngayon, because of the cost, they want science done. So palagi may science. They want to do science. And Mars is really intriguing. So if you're not, yung development sa Mars, I'm really sure that it's an intriguing planet. Kasi Mars, yung rovers there, they have found out evidence na merong bodies of water sa Mars a long time ago. There were bodies of water malaki. And Mars before, and if you have a body of water, dapat may atmosphere. Kasi kung walang atmosphere, yung body of water mo will evaporate. No? So there has to be an atmosphere. Pero ngayon, Mars almost has no atmosphere. So ang sabi nila, what happened? So it's a big question. Bakit nawala yung atmosphere ng Mars? What happened? And can it happen to us? No? Kasi climate change. Pag wala kasi atmosphere natin, patay tayo lahat. And so and one of the other thing is, are we alone here? Are we the only life in the universe? Nawala pa rin sagot yan eh. Let's take a vote. Who thinks now we are the only one in the entire universe, the only living life here? Who thinks na meron pang iba? Yeah. It becomes more exciting kasi they've been able to see planets around other stars, di ba? And they're trying to find a planet that's like Earth. Yung tinatawag nila Goldilocks condition. Yung pareho. Goldilocks. Just right. No? Just right. Which I believe. Kaya lang, one thing na dapat natin isipin is that there may be life in other parts of the universe, pero they may not be intelligent life like us. No? Baka there's a possibility na tayo lang ang, yung self-awareness, yung intelligence, baka tayo lang. Kasi, based on probability, tingnan nyo, how many species sa Earth? There's like millions of species of living organisms. No? Ilang species lang yung tulad natin? Isa lang, no? Tayo lang. So, the probability of going from lower forms of life to something like us is medyo mahirap. Pero we never knows. Baka totoo nga yung mga na-abduct na. Pero in terms of, so we should be open to that, no? Which is a nice thing kasi if you're open to that possibility, that means na yung contribution natin sa universe is very unique, no? We're very unique talaga. Kasi we're the only ones who can sort of appreciate yung beauty nga of nature and the universe. Dahil nga, kasi pero it's more philosophical na. It's good. So let's go back to bioregenerative, no? Okay. Yeah. Mabilis na, okay. So we're finished. So we're trying to finish this one. So ito nga sabi ko, long duration lang medyo gumaganda yung bioregenerative. Okay? And 50 square meter per person daw pwede na. So that's not bad. 50 square meter na planting area for one person. Okay. And by the way, this is the last plan about the bioregenerative, no? So, ang pinakabago nila ngayon is that we mix them, okay? We mix bulk foods, okay, with some bioregenerative. Ang usually bioregenerative na pwede is ready-to-eat salad crops. So, this is the one. Kasi madali siya itanim. Saka walang masyadong post-harvest. So, they want to grow ready-to-eat salad crops, ganyan. And yung mga ready-to-use staple crops, kasamang rice, no? Kasamang rice. And then resupply, ship. So it's a mixture now. So ngayon ito yung pinaka-latest na idea ng NASA. They want to mix it. If ever we're going to Mars, we'll plant some and we'll bring some. Okay? So we'll bring some madali and we'll ship all the others in bulk. So let's just go this quickly, siguro 2 minutes. Cooking in space habitat. So isang atong pwedeng gawin, sabi nga, one of the things that they need to do is to cook. Okay. So meron siyang mga positive. Okay, I just want to show, kasi I was involved in this research. So yung aking supervisor sa Cornell, they tried to make a Mars analog habitat. It's in Hawaii. Sabi ko nga, nagre-recruit sila ng titira sa habitat, maganda pumunta sa Hawaii, pero Hawaii is a volcano. So they have a place sa Mauna Loa, sa tuktok nun is volcanic, no? So walang tumutubo. What they did was they put 6 people there inside an analog habitat. Ang kanilang gusto gawin is, what they want to do is, they want to do food study where they will cook, kaya lang ang ingredients sila puro shelf-stable, no? Shelf-stable na pagkain. So all of these ingredients are shelf-stable for at least 5 years. Kasi sinasimulate nga nila yung Mars mission, no? So they bring all shelf-stable ingredients. Tapos ang gustong tingnan ng advisor ko is, are they able, pwede ba silang gumawa ng cook? No? So meron silang konting, may hotel school kasi ang Cornell, so meron chef. Tinuruan sila kung paano magluto ng yung mga galing sa ready to eat. So medyo big deal yan. TV pa sila Channel 9. Making a menu for Mars. Yeah, so ito yung mga participants. So what they did was, it looks good, no? Ito yung ingredients, all shelf-stable foods. Tapos you get a dish. No? So niluto nila, which is, beef tagin. Hindi ko alam. But it looks good. Tapos isa pa, no? So they have lots of recipes, so they've tried it. So all of them are shelf-stable, tapos gagawa sila ng food. No? So sabi ko nga, when I was thinking about this, kasi tingnan niyo siya, no? Tingnan niyo yan, parang ano yung itsura niyan? Parang refugee camp, di ba? So sabi ko, baka pwede gamitin yan sa refugee camps dito, di ba? Because it's, you know yung mga sa war-torn places, pupunta sila gagawa ng 10 cities. Usually yung pagkain nila yung supply lang na dilata, no? So maybe they can make something out of those ingredients na will be good, no? So something like this. Tapos this is another one. So yun nga, no? They were testing the recipes. Tapos one is cooking. So that's one of the things that I did, no? Para cooking, we tried to build an equipment na sort of start how to cook in space. So possible problems, okay? So yeah. Usually the problem is contamination of the habitat. The way to imagine this is, imagine being in an airplane, di ba? Tapos kung meron magpiprito sa airplane, so hindi ka pwede bukas ng bintana, no? Kasi mauna yung, so yeah, pressure, cabin pressure. So it's like that in a space habitat. Hindi pwede yung bukas ng bintana. So kung may magprito doon, you have to get rid of all of this. Pati yung temperature. Yeah. So what we did was we built the food. Okay, so we can talk about this kung no? Let's just go through this quickly. And then basically, we try to model the air. Ang kagandahan kasi, if you've heard of computational fluid dynamics, it's powerful enough, you can model airflow. No? So, minodel namin yung airflow ng dito, so we made the model, tapos, ang kagandahan lang sa model, you can sort of put a design na merong mga kalde-kaldero, no? Tapos tignan mo kung ano nangyayari sa airflow. Okay, kung may kaldero dyan. So kita mo dito, red is fast, blue is slow. So kung may kaldero, yung harap niya is nabablock. So may problema yan. Usually kung sabihin mabagal yung airflow dyan, so pwedeng lumabas yung mga gases, no? Tapos makontaminate yung airspace. And then this is one that we did also, which is very interesting kasi you were thinking, this is the hardest thing that you can do there, yung magprito in space, no? In a space habitat. And one of the things na problema is yung oil spatter. You were thinking, let's try and see if we can find out how much oil. So, deny namin yung oil na red, tapos yun, chinek namin yung spatter based on dito, no? So, tingnan mo kung gaano kadaming mantika per square. Anyway, tapos, merong picture. I mean, dito, hindi mo na iniisip yan. Ang problema mo lang yan pag natasikan ka, masakit. No? Kasi pwede mo lang punasan eh. Sa space, kasi they want, kailangan, it's like measured everything. No? Alam nila talaga kung ano mangyayari. Everything has to be known. No? Hindi pwedeng bara-bara lang kasi kung malaking chance na magkamali. I mean, have you heard of Murphy's Law?
Everything that can go wrong.
Yeah, everything that can go wrong will go wrong. Usually, you think of it as something na masama, pero usually for engineers, it means you take a look at everything that can go wrong and see what you will do. Diba? Kung magkamali, kung if it goes wrong. That's why, so Murphy's Law is good. Okay. Yeah, so that could be one thing that can go wrong. Pwede tumapon yung mantika, mapuno yung habitat ng floating oil. No? So that will be bad. Now, ang kagandahan lang siya, we were able to do some image. This is free, by the way, if you want to see. ImageJ is a free image analysis software. Basically, ang hirap kasi niyan, kita mo, gusto mo malaman ilan ba yan? Gaano ba kalalaki yan? No? So, kung mag-hire ka ng SA, pwede siguro, no? Isa-isa yan. Pero ang dami niya, tignan mo siya, no? Ang dami siya. So, abutin na yun, maduduling na yung SA mo sa katingin. Ang kagandahan lang, there's an image J, no? Basically, it can capture, no? Maka-capture niya yung dots, tapos mabibilang niya, and then to give you the area, so which is nice. So, kaya lang you have to learn it, but it's not hard to learn. If you need this, you can go check image J, it's free. NIH, National Institute of Health. And then, ang kagandahan, one thing we learned was that the oil spatter has an equation, no? May equation that may equation. There's an equation that can sort of describe the spatter. This is probability and size, no? So yung size niya, merong equation. Okay? Yeah, this is on Earth gravity, yun ang problema namin. So we're able to do some mathematical modeling. Tapos yan, may equations kami nakuha. Tapos we did some video para makita rin. This is quite simple. Dry ice lang siya eh. This is one of the easiest way to make vapor, no? Dry ice plus hot water plus dry ice, you get vapor. So kita nyo, no? The hood really works based on the... So it sort of validates our, the computational model. Tapos this is the last part na I want to do. Ang problema kasi, the model is only for Earth gravity. And we want to do either Moon or Mars gravity. So what are we going to do? We're going to try and cook on Moon and Mars gravity. And it can be done here on Earth using the, I think you've heard of this, yung airplane. It's like a roller coaster siya, no? It goes up, tapos nag-free fall siya, and they can change the angles in such a way that you can feel Mars, Moon, or zero gravity. So you can feel it, no? Nagbababa siya. It only takes 20 seconds, yung part na mararamdaman mo yan. But what they do is, they do it over and over again. No? Mga 50 times, they do it. In one day. So parang roller coaster yan, taas baba, taas baba. Ang kagandahan lang, the windows are closed. So kung nasa loob ka, you won't see yung taas baba. Ang nakakita lang yung pilots. Pero sanay na sila. Sanay na. So that's sort of the thing that happens. Usually, it becomes commercially na siya. Ginawa na nilang commercial yan eh. So, pero mahal. I think you need to pay $5,000 for an experience. No? Kami, since we're doing research, nasa funded siya, so I got to ride it libre. So what we did was we did that. So this is sort of the flight thing. So we did it only last year. So saan ako dyan? This is me. No? Okay. So hindi naman akong pinakamali. So yeah, kaya tumabi ako dun sa isa. Okay, so yeah, so what happens they did was, iba-ibang things yan. So they study other aspects of what happens in Moon or Mars gravity. Usually, ang gusto nila yung zero gravity. So, they study what happens in zero gravity. Kasi, it's a way of, let's say may satellite ka. You want to send a satellite in orbit. Tapos, may moving parts yung satellite. Let's say, kailangan yung bumukas, lalabas yung antenna. So, tinitest nila sa airplane para makita, will it work in zero gravity? May problema kasi yung zero gravity. You know how yung fuse, yung normal fuse, ano bang normal fuse? Merong alambre na ma-ting, di ba? Pag nag-short, yun yung matutunaw, mag-break. Ang problema sa zero, so one thing na parang thinking in zero gravity, pag nag-melt siya, yung liquid metal nandun pa din. Hindi siya bababa. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? Diretso pa rin yung kuryente. No? So, those are the things that you won't see unless you run it in zero gravity. So, they try to do that. Okay, kami naman. So, yeah. So, these are our pictures. So, this is the equipment we built. No? Ang kwento pa nga dyan, which is, we have to build a very strong filter. Kasi ang problema yung mga nagbabantay, yung nasa personnel, sabi nila, trained sila na pag may amoy na nasusunog sa aeroplano, ano ibig sabihin nun? Merong cut the mission short, no? Kasi baka may problema yung aeroplano. Eh kung nagluluto kami, meron talagang amoy na. So they have to make sure na hindi, saka isa pa daw, pag naamoy nila yung naluluto, ang problema kasi dyan, this called actually the vomit comet, you know? Nahihilo yung mga tao, they throw up. Kasi it's disorienting. So, sabi nga, nahihilo na, nakaamoy pa na nasusunog, talagang delikado na. And you don't want to blow in zero gravity kasi what happens yun? Lulutang yun, no? That's why, ang experience ko sa kanila, all of them have these barf bags, yung mga sila, no? Pag medyo mukhang namumula ka, lapit sila sa'yo. Kagad yung, yung barf bag. Kasi, pero, just to say naman, meron naman silang tinuturok. Tinuturokan ka ng anti-dizziness medicine. Kasi it's sort of, talaga nakakahilo siya, you go up and down. So we have this one, as reduced gravity flight. So, we did some, so meron pa rin papel. So this happens in zero gravity. And we don't do in zero gravity, sorry, it's reduced gravity. It's either Moon or Mars. Kasi we don't do cooking in zero gravity kasi luluto. So you don't do it. So we just do, so we did hash browns and tofu. Okay, so yeah, so you can see the flash here, so that's me. Tapos, there's a video, do we have time to do the video? Very quickly, no? Tignan kung mapanggal ko. Okay, so let's, okay, meron bang hindi dapat makita? You see my... Oops, lahat. Okay, last. Okay. So we have a video here. Too quick. Okay, so this is the quick video. So this is the... Wala siyang audio. Anyway, wala naman siya talagang audio. So just show you quickly. So we are flying. Tapos, this is... Yan. So this is, ano pa, bago pa siya umakyat. So this is level flight. They give us time to, kaya lang, every flight is 2 minutes. So we have to be very fast. Set up in 2 minutes. Ayan. So, yun, nahirap pa kami sa, kailangan kasi secure. No? So, piling si Susana yung aking collaborator. And then we put the oil. So, ano pala, level lang yan. No? So, it's still Earth gravity yung mararamdaman mo siya. So, but to make sure na everything is secure, kaya nga you have to use a syringe. Kasi you never know. Kung may turbulence, kung baso, baka tumakon. No? So you use the syringe. We're using induction cookware, induction cooktop. So hindi umiinit yung ibabaw. And then, ito na yun, no? So they're going to tell you na mag-start na yung Moon or Mars gravity. So that's when we put it here. Yeah. So, ang tinest namin yung unang baksak lang because that's the most yung tilamsik, no? Unang baksak. Okay, so you can see nagtitilamsik na siya. And then, okay. Maybe tulog pala. You won't hear it. I don't think so. Can you hear it? And So this is like 20 seconds, so tapos na. So that's it. And then what we do is, okay, so level ulit siya, takpan, and then tanggal, tapos, so kita niyo yung flash, no? Kasi they were excited. This is the first time na nagawa ng ganito sa airplane eh. So they were excited na, oh yeah. That's an astronaut. Merong astronaut na, kasi usually, ang kanilang research sa zero gravity lang, sa pagdating sa Moon and Mars, gravity part, yun, iniiga sila when you're going up. Kasi you can feel the nagiging 2G pag umakyat. It's twice the gravity. Okay, so it's the same thing. I think we can stop there. Anyways, pakita ko lang itong last part, no? So after you remove it, we have to make sure na ano siya, it's secure in a box. So we put it in a box, a new box. Kasi they want to be sure na mainit kasi siya, no? So they don't want it touching anything outside of the hood. Okay, so tago ka agad dyan. Tago na. May cabinet sa baba. So we had to design this. Tapos ito yung isa pa na ka-team ko. So he's the one collecting all the... Yeah. Diyan taga-collect na. I think that's... I think that's more or less the thing. So, where's the... Wala na yung presentation. Anyway, this is the last one. It's a fun picture. Yung data namin, we're still analyzing the data, but we found out na you get more drops in lower gravity, the drops go farther. Mas malayo, which is to be expected. Okay, but we're trying, yun nga, like I said, we have to try and make a quantitative model. We're trying to do a model. There is also one thing na, if you notice, sa flight, Moon and Mars lang kami may trabaho. Pag dun sa part na walang zero gravity, wala kaming trabaho. So anong ginagawa namin doon? We're doing some, naglalaro kami. No? So this is one of the play. Ayan. You've seen this. Ayan. So you can float in. So you're floating. And you can do that. Ayan. So that's, yeah. Kita niyo yung nasa side, doctor siya. She's doctor. So, lapit siya kagad. Kasi ang problema, if you're floating, it's like, kung nasa tubig ka, you're floating in water. Kaya sa tubig kasi, if you push the water, may resistance, di ba? Pwede kang gumalaw. Pag lumulutang ka sa air, you cannot push the air. So, ang problema doon, kaya kita nyo nakahawak ako eh. Nakahawak. Kasi ayaw nila pag bumitaw ka, you can go through the plane. Ang problema, may mga setup sa iba. Pag nasipa mo yung setup ng isa, nagalit sila, no? So they don't want that. Okay. So I think that would be so, it's sort of parang ano na rin, no? There's the food system part and there's my experience of working in cooking and drying. So, yeah, so thank you very much. So,
very much, Dr. Apollo. Very updating. Dr. Apollo. By convention, we first give the certificate to. Kailan kayo if you have questions, just a few minutes. If our director is here, Dr. Potasio. Here, maybe we ask the deputy director, Primitivo Santos, so please award the certificate of appreciation to our guest speaker. Rock Science Cluster, College of Agriculture, University of the Philippines, presents this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Apollo C. Arquiza for serving as a resource person in the special seminar entitled Systems for Space Exploration, held today, February 12, at Crop Science, Master of UPLB, signed by our chairperson, the Senate Committee, Dr. Arquiza, and of course our Director, Calixto and Stasio. So, I think you don't mind if we spend a little bit more. Some questions? No? Comments? Mahirap no? Kasi parang iba experience. Parang kasi space.
Who wants to ask a question?
Yeah.
I'm Lucille Villegas from IBS. So I'm a microbiologist, and I just want to ask, because you are planning to plant sa planet Mars. Have you thought of starting from the lower life forms? Like you start with bacteria, then they would provide atmosphere and all before you plant plants.
Yeah.
So if we are to go back to the diversification of life on Earth, so yun ang simula. So bakit hindi ganun simulan?
Okay. Kasi nga, pagkain ka yung they've thought about it. Maraming concepts sila. Yung isang concept nila is they send the whole ecosystem na, no? Una. May plants na, pero pa nga mga sa Japanese, nag-aaral sila ng goats, no? Kasi gusto nila magano ng goats. Kasi kahit ano, kakainin ng goats na yung mga basog papel, no? Pero I think ang ano nila, yung nga isang question, bakit, kasi they want starting na support kasi siya. So they want na pagpunta ng tao, it's good na. Siguro, yung nga sabi ko, they have this ecosystem thing. They've been trying to close na merong part na may microbio, may plants, tapos merong animals kayong tao. But they don't start that. Isa pang parang related dyan is pwedeng gumawa ng microbio na nakakain, di ba? Yeah. Kaya lang isang problema nila, it's not, isa rin may psychological din sa astronauts, no? Yung kita mo yung tumutubo dyan na slime, ano yun yung algae na parang lumot, tapos mamaya kakainin na, so parang iba yung dating. So mas gusto nila yung plants na. So that's yung magandang question niya, because siguro in the long run, it has to have microorganisms kasi yung circle nga eh. Circle. So yes. Yeah, yes.
Sir, my name is Justin, graduate MS Food Science. I'm curious po ako dun sa pag-choose ng flavors or nung choice dishes for the menu. Ano po yung basis?
I think ang basis nila dyan is, hindi ko rin alam. Usually, may nagsasuggest, may panel sila eh. So may panel yung sila, tapos marami yan. Kaya lang yung pumapasa sa taste test. May taste test sila eh. So, yung doon nagkakalabanan. Hedonic din yung scale, no? Yeah. Hedonic 9-point scale. Usually 7 ang approval nila. Yung 1 to 9 yung scale, kung ano sa sensory. So madami siya. So walang katapusan yung test nila ng dishes. Kaya lang hindi pumapasa. Usually hindi pumapasa. So I think, sabi ko nga, if siguro, isa rin nga yan, magandang kwento rin yung nangyari. One time sa space station, they sent a Korean na nagpadala ng Korean sa space station. So as a matter of pride, yung South Korea, they developed a kimchi na pwede sa space. So nagamit. So sabi ko nga, if ever we're going to send a Filipino astronaut, so we have to think of something na you're Pinoy. Bukupay? Sisig. Balos. It's a matter of pride. We have time. Yes. You know one more? Yeah, go. Yes.
Ano pala yung food preparation ba? Morning, lunch, and dinner. Sariwa-hiwalay ba yun? Wala po bang food preparation na pag kumain ka na isang tablet, ay doon po ang hindi na magputo.
Sa tingin ko po, sa ngayon, hindi na kinoconsider yun kasi walang ref pa rin eh. Ang problema nila kasi sa ref is energy intensive. So, hindi pwedeng i-ref. So, pagka prepare, kain ka agad. Yun yung plano pa. Pero, like I said, ang kagandahan kasi ng research na to, they're still trying to find ways na to improve it. So, sa ngayon, yun pa lang. Pero siguro later, if they develop a refrigerator, pwede nang mas madami. Pero isa pa rin po yan, tulad ng sabi niyo yung large scale. Kasi yung long term din sila mag-isip eh. Pag nag-colony na sa Mars, hindi lang 6 na tao. Kasi ngayon, the crew is 6. Pero kung mag-colony, they say madami ng tao. So, they have to do large scale cooking. So, siguro magkatabi na sila for that. Okay, question? Yeah. Terraforming, NASA, research. Sa ngayon, wala pa. Pero, it will be one thing na maganda. Pero I think, baka mauna pa yung Earth geoengineering, you know? Kasi yun sa climate change. Pero wala pa sila. Wala pa terraforming. Puro habitats lang. Question? Yes, question?
I'm Chris from Bioscience also. Ang question ko, sir, since iba yung environment sa Mars, so that will serve as a selective pressure for all the living things around them. So it's possible that the living organisms there would be quite different, would evolve quite differently sa taos Earth, right? So I believe they have already considered that.
Sa ngayon, it's hard to predict. So,
especially, for example, the atmospheric radiation there is very strong. So, mutations and such.
Yeah, I think it's one of the evolving sa space. Kasi kahit sa tao hindi nila alam pa kung ano mangyayari sa tao if you go that far. Tapos yung microbiome mo pa, hindi rin nila alam. So, there's a lot of questions sa biology. Kasi yung microbiome mo, hindi nila alam kung ano mangyayari. So, I wonder if you've heard, meron sila ngayong experiment sa space station. Sinwerte sila, merong isang astronaut na may kambal. May kakambal. So, they have the same genetic makeup, no? So, yung astronaut, itatapon niya sa space station for a year. Tapos, sa-simulate nila kung ano yung kinakain niya doon sa kinakain ng twin niya dito. So they're going to see yung change sa, yung reaction niya. So tinatry nila na i-limit dun sa, yung iba, pinagkaiba lang is the space environment. So that's one thing. Kaya lang, usually ang problema doon, I'm sure kung scientist ka, sabi mo niyan, sample size of 1. so meron mag-statistics, no? pero they have to start somewhere. Siguro, sino ba dyan may kambal? Baka gusto niya mag-astronaut, no? So that's one thing.
Sir, wasn't that method, with the twins and all, that's already been tried by Nazi Germany, di ba?
Sa Nazi Germany.
With Joseph Mengele trying to do experiments with twins.
Oh, I think, hindi ako familiar.
Inflicting one twin with a disease, then seeing if the other twin will have a specific reaction.
I think so. Pero I think kasi nung time na yun, hindi pa siya, I think 1940s,
yes,
wala pang...
40s.
So this is more on molecular and genetic na. No? I think, di ba? Watson and Crick is 1950s, di ba? Yung DNA. So, nung panahon na yun, and usually you don't want to say NASA, Nazi, one sentence. So never. So So it's possible. Kaya lang sa kanila kasi it's a different purpose. Yung get the master rights, no? Pero dito. Pero I think hindi pa. Yung nga yung pinag-iba. It's all the genetic, yung high throughput na, no? Kawawa nga yung sila kasi they're going to be known inside out. No? Yung from proteomics, from metabolomics, tapos yung expression analysis. So, talaga. Pero it's going to be good data. Kaya lang nga, they say it's a sample size of 1. So, hopefully, mapapadami pa. Yes, so si Yanni. Yes. The space? Oh, pwedeng ano, kasi sa space, usually, I wonder if you've isa kasi dyan, ano yung seen na barometer, di ba? Yung pag in-invert mo yung tubo, umakyat yung tubig. Tumitigil lang siya because of gravity. So in space, kaya kung nakita nyo, merong stopper yung straw nung ano yung drink vessel sila. Kasi pag binuksan mo, yung tuloy-tuloy yung akyat, no? Tuloy-tuloy yung akyat kasi yung it's something to do with surface tension. Yung surface tension siya, yung umakyat yung tubig, yung liquid. So inom sila, put straw open, tapos diretso akyat na. No? Hindi na humihiko. Yung iba, naglalaro, no? They pop it, tapos lulutang yung ano, tapos hihigop din. Kaya lang, ayaw din na nasa yan kasi usually problema, pag nag-break yun, yung droplets yung mababasa yung kanilang equipment. Yes.
Next lang po, request nga na pala po ng food science. Have you tried another form of cooking po? Instead of fried, boiling man, or roasting?
Yeah. So that's yun ang limitation kasi namin. Ang limitation kasi yung that's part of the study. Kaya limitations of life is yung 20 seconds. No? So yun yung pinakasimple yung spatter unang baksa. Kita mo na kagad. Kasi kung magbo-boil ka for 20 seconds, alis, wala. Sabi ko nga, sa isa pang problema, like you said, ang plano nila sa Mars habitat is half the atmospheric pressure. Ang problema sa half atmospheric pressure, baba yung temperature ng boiling. So they need a pressure cooker. Sabi ko nga, mahirap bumabulalo sa Mars. Kukuha mo ng mas matagal, sobrang tagal. So, pero it's a valid question kasi kung medyo technical na to, no, yung tinatawag na convection is due to gravity, density. So, kung nasa space station ka, walang convection. Walang convection. So, yun ang problema nila. Pag ininit mo siya, puro conduction lang. No? Yung water. So, walang convection. That's one thing also. Pero do you want? Oh, question, yes.
I've read somewhere, pero I didn't get it. Bawal daw ang Texas.
I don't, ewan ko siguro, kaya lang, bawal. Kasi, you should understand na, parang Big Brother kasi yung nasa space no? Bawat ibot nila is monitored. Wala silang privacy talaga. So, unless, may pa-exhibition yung astronauts natin. Pero I think it's meron nag-question nga din, pwede ba yun in microgravity, pwede ba? Pero that's, medyo, I think they don't want to do that. Kasi, isa pang kwento daw din sa, yung ganun nga, kasi, yung beer daw, sa Russian side daw, sa American side bawal ang beer. Kasi yung space station is international, may Russian side, may American side. So sa Russian side daw, minsan nakakapagano sila, smuggle, vodka. Pero it's lang, chismis lang. Chismis. Ayan.
Pero po, nakikita ko din, isang kernel daw na kanina. May picture po nagdalawa po siya ng marijuana. Ano yung totoo po yun?
Baka hindi din. Kasi ang sa kanila, hindi regulated talaga Siguro kung experiment, pwede. Pero I think, hindi siguro. Ang narinig ko yung kwento before, sa mga plant scientists, may kwento daw before na nagpadala sila ng onions for growth experiments, no? Onions for growth experiments. Ang problema, pagdating dun sa space, so yan, sinet up na, no? So nag-grow na yung onions. Kaya lang yung astronauts, sabik na sa fresh food. Kinain. So, nakain yung experiment. So, kwento lang. So that's why nalaman nila na kailangan talaga may fresh food yung astronauts. So, kasi nung time na yon. So, kwento daw doon, yung tinatanong ng scientist sa baba, yung ano nangyari sa onions ko, maganda ba ang tubo? Masarap. So yeah, so that's mga kwento. Pero marami nga rin silang kwento. Excited. Kwentong astronaut. May questions? Yeah, questions.
For example, mga ilang months, 42 yung astronaut, tatanong mo. Siyempre po, naturally na magkakaroon ng parang kaya kasi ng garden parang burning.
Yeah. Valid nga rin yan, pero may minors pa ba dito? So, una, ayan yung mga side ng space na hindi mo siguro malalaman hanggang hindi ka astronaut. Hindi nila sasabihin. So, conspiracy theories yan na. Pero kailangan talaga, I mean, if you're going to the stars, sabi ko nga, if you're going to, let's say the nearest star system is 4.3 light years away, let's say kaya natin in 5% ng speed of light, that's like 80 years, kailangan talagang multi-generation. So, definitely, they have to do something. and so we don't know yet kung anong balak nila. Pero I'm sure may nag-iisip na niya, kaya lang hindi pinapublish yung results.
So I think we had some insights and we hope we get inspired, motivated, and challenged. Yun naman yung purpose ng pag-imbita namin kay Apple. Aside from that, na medyo pinadaling na yung trabaho ko maghanap ng speaker, siya yung pinakamadaling kong naimbita so far kasi hindi ko ganun kadali mag-imbita. I saw Dr. Rasco earlier. Okay, so he was one of our previous speakers. So with that, we'd like to thank the audience for coming. For those who came, OBCRE team are here, so the talk will be uploaded at the UPLB OBCRE site. So at some point, you can check on it if the lectures if it will be shared to those who may be interested. He has quite a hectic schedule, so medyo limited yung kanyang speaking engagement till the coming few months. But he'll try to give another talk at the engineering room, maybe about modeling, yung medyo mas technical. Yung naiintindihan naman ng lahat, di ba? Kahit tayo mga space person. Apollo, I knew Apollo was special when he invited me on a date sa field and he knew the stars. My God! You know, the galaxies. Kahit hindi siya yung pinakagwapo, but he was the best. Pero mas gwapo siya ngayon. Diba? So good luck and maraming salamat and enjoy the fields of Los Baños.